To the last and final hour of the Capital Crunch, which is, of course, the Care Fountain. Caring for others is often an important part of keeping up relationships with people close to you. In fact, it is the most essential part of keeping relationships together. It can even bring you closer together as well. And this last hour, we are all about caring for each other. And as we are celebrating Women's Month, a lot of women and girls tend to lack support, and they just need someone to take care of them and support them. Today in studio, we have Tecla, who is an administrator from Macherenje Center of Hope, an organization which seeks to advocate, educate, empower the girl child, vulnerable women, and the elderly in the community of Zimbabwe. Good morning to you, Tecla, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Happy International Women's Day.
I'm not supposed to say same to you, hey?
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Lovely. So let's get straight into our conversation. I think it's a very important one, especially at this point in time, because there's a lot that is happening in the world. But it has always been a core responsibility to, like your organization stands for, advocate, educate, and empower the girl child and vulnerable women and the elderly as well. Break it down to us what your specific role as an organization is.
Okay, our specific role as an organization is community development, because we cannot talk about caring for other people when we don't talk about developing them. So we develop the community through the empowering of the young women and the girl child. So we do educational assistance for those that are in school, and we also do vocational training for those who are out of school or those who are waiting for their results, and those young women in their homes who don't have formal employment. And we also provide psychosocial support for those young women and also for the elderly women.
Interesting. And why is it important to have organizations like yours, amongst our communities, amongst our society as well?
Why it's important for us? Why we are there as organizations? I think it's important because we become the voice of those communities. Because some people just cannot speak out. But that's why we are there as communities, to talk about those problems that are in the community, to point out those problems that are in the community. Because if you don't speak out, we don't get help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
If we can probably talk briefly about how you are, building and empowering and developing girls, especially, in the backdrop of Women's History Month. How important is, what you are doing, and how are you doing it?
Okay, we have several projects that we do, which are ongoing. We have a Donate a Pad drive that we do. That's the first one that I'll talk about. When you donate a pad to a young woman, you have empowered her in the sense that you have restored or you have maintained her dignity. So through that, through the Donate a Pad, we can say that we are empowering the women. And then also I've talked about the vocational training projects. For example, we have the Genesis training project. We named it the Genesis training project. For us, it was the first one, and also as the Genesis, it means the beginning. So it's the beginning for that woman. It's the beginning for that woman to have that emancipation. They're starting something for their lives. They're starting something for their families. So for them, it's the Genesis. It's the beginning. And then also I've talked about educational assistance. Once you help a girl child with school fees, they're moving ahead, they're moving forward. They're not, what can I say? They're not at a standstill. They're moving forward in their lives. Let's say they were in Form 1. They can now go to Form 2. They can go to Form 4. They can go to A level. They can even get to the university. So you have taken them from point 0 to 0.89.
Essentially uplifting them from, like you're saying, from the point that they were,
yes,
and moving on to the next point. We had quite a similar conversation just yesterday, but I really like going back to it because I think it's very, very important. The issue of, awareness. Do you think, the girl child, women out there really understand how important they are? Because sometimes, it takes someone to tell you but I believe there has to be something within you to realize that, look, I'm a powerhouse, I'm important, and as much as some people externally will help me, I need to be the one at the forefront of empowering myself.
I think some of the women are coming to that realization that we are important in this world and that we can do anything. So as our organization, Macherenje Center of Hope, it's not just a matter of helping them. It's not a matter of just going and donating to them, but we also educate them. Like for example, the Donate a Pad. We just don't come and give you sanitary or sanitary pads. We also empower you with education on menstrual hygiene, sexual and reproductive health.
Interesting.
Yes.
And when you have these programs, when you go out there, what are some of the testimonies they give about what they're going through, or probably some of the challenges that they highlight to you that, sometimes in society, but, someone is actually going through that, especially these women that we're talking about?
When we talk about the challenges that women face, we can first talk about the cultural norms. There are those cultural norms. Can I speak in China?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. There are those cultural norms. Mukadzi adai, mukadzi afandre ku wana more money kanoti kudarika murume. That on its own, it brings my challenges into the home. So when you empower a woman, sometimes they face those challenges. Ekuti aku wana more money kudarika maybe probably her partner or her husband. So those are some of the challenges that they face. And also their religious beliefs, traditional and religious beliefs. Educating the girl child. It's not easy because some of those beliefs, they think, no, mwanamskana, their role in the society is just to grow up, get married, become a wife, have children, procreate.
Yeah. That's
their role. But that's not it.
Yeah.
So those are some of the challenges that those girls and young women face.
Absolutely. When we look at the home setup, an institution like the home, you will find that most of the time it's where everything is supposed to begin. When we talk about charity beginning at home, kumbando kwa tukufana ngeti chuana ma lessons, being taught about life, how you handle this, how you handle that. But to me, it really seems as if, I might be wrong, but when I look at the setup of the world right now, it seems as if more lessons are my lessons akawanda tukuwana, especially kuwanukadzi, arikuzoya kana paitika something, kana paitika rape, kana paitika abuse, kana paitika something like that. And I just want to pick your brain on this one, because it seems as if there's not much of that mumba, before the girl goes out there, but it's more like after a disaster, that's where there's more awareness. What do you think needs to be done about situations like that?
I think what needs to be done is to speak out. We don't have to wait for something to happen. We just need to speak about these things, speak about those topics. As women, we need to have, let's say, those conferences where we just come together, relax, talk about how we are going to raise our children, the challenges that we are facing as women. I just think that's where we need to start from, because for some women, they can't just be open. There's also the issue of culture when it comes to that. That's the thing. So I keep my problems to myself and I don't talk about those problems, and also I don't talk about what's happening in my family. But how am I going to get help if I don't talk?
Yeah.
Because somebody probably has gone through that.
Yeah, going back to that, I'm sorry, I'll stick to that point because I think it's important as well. Saka, essentially, do you think kuti Vana Mama are actually doing their job the way they're supposed to be doing it?
I would like to think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think they're trying.
Saka patukufera ndi papi. Where are we going wrong? Because if kumba kuri kuani kwa the life lessons that you're supposed to be getting, does it then essentially mean kuti other influences are now taking part in how you're going to be living your life out there as a woman? Yes,
I think there are other influences like the social media. we can teach our children on what to do and what not to do. But then as children, we experiment. We want to try this and that. So in as much as, I think you have heard of that saying, Yaguti, my mother raised me well, but I'm so yeah. So sometimes we want to experiment, or children want to experiment. So that's where sometimes it goes wrong. Not that the child does not know anything, not that they have not been taught anything, but they just want to experiment. Yeah.
Interesting. Question carrying through on the WhatsApp platform says, does this organization provide temporary shelter for people like destitutes in case someone tried a street life but apana kwekuyenda?
For now, we're not able to do that, but we are able to refer them to other organizations that are doing that. We'll update you as time goes on, but we actually have that in our plans to shelter some of those women.
Yeah, that's noble.
Yes.
And talking about some of the initiatives that I understand you had an outreach program in squatter camps in Bari. How was that experience? Seeing what they're going through and hearing what some of the things that they're going through.
It was quite an eye-opening experience. And also, like, as our organization, our agenda is to be the center of hope. So sometimes as women, we usually celebrate those who have succeeded in the corporate world or those who have succeeded something. And yet in this month of women, we forget that woman who is out there, who's struggling. We forget to just give her hope. We forget to hear her story as well. So that's why we decided as an organization to do it differently this time, to celebrate Women's Month differently this time.
Absolutely. Do you think there is enough of that hope you're talking about that is being shared, by women to women? Because most of the times, and it doesn't just happen to women, even men. Sometimes I want to talk about stuff with my brother, tichitaura nota upenyu wakamira soto pana advice, but you find kuti some of the times when it's men, they are getting that hope from women, and in turn as well, women are getting that hope from men, when obviously it should start as women. Kuti, look guys, this is the situation that we are in, let's huddle together, let's find solutions for ourselves before we turn to someone else. Do you think there is enough hope, honestly, between women, from woman to woman?
I think there is enough hope. Besides, my issues are not going to come up. We don't want to support each other. But I'm seeing that now. I'm seeing women supporting other women right now. So I'm thinking that there is that hope, and it's coming up. And hope just doesn't work on its own. We also have to talk about positive thinking. Because I can come to you and give you hope and encourage you. But yourself, what are you doing? You have to think positively so that the hope actually rises up within you. Yes. Absolutely.
24 minutes before we get to midday right here on Capitalk 100.4 FM. We are in conversation with Tecla Tatenda, administrator from Macherenje Center of Hope, just talking about what they are busy with, an organization seeking to advocate, educate and empower obviously the girl child, vulnerable women and the elderly in our communities. You can come through and weigh in on 0719 100 404. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we continue with our conversation. Do not change the dial.
100.4 FM. Harare's hottest.
You know they call me Fela in Versace, yeah.
100.4 FM. All the radio you need and much more. 100.4 FM. Harare's heartbeat.
Fill up, baby, fill on me. Pull up if you're feeling lonely.
100.4 FM.
Leg over. My baby give me take over.
100.4 FM.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with our conversation right here on the Care Fountain. It's all about care right here on the Care Fountain. And today we are talking about things that align to, obviously, International Women's Day and International Women's Month as well. Another thing that I've seen happen, especially these days, is socialites and celebrities and popular people coming through to also participate in these activities and lend a helping hand. But there's another notion that comes through when people say, I partnered with this, organization. It's now for more for clout than to really extend, a helping hand. What do you think about those situations?
What I think is that first you have to ask yourself this question: in whose eyes am I looking at this situation?
Right.
Because for some people we can say, they're just doing this for clout. They're just doing it for fame. But then, have you ever paused or have you ever taken a moment to think of the positive that person has done?
Right.
You just don't look at what they have done in a negative way and then think about it's all about clout, it's all about fame. Just think of what the good that they have done. As what the elderly say, so in whose eyes are we looking at some of those situations?
Mm-hmm. So essentially, because I think you're right as well, because why did they have cameras there? What do they want to showcase and whatnot? But for me, I think it's looking at what the good that they've done, like you're saying, other than, because come on, a camera is a camera, there is nothing wrong with taking a few good memories with those people. But I think it's in turn how we interpret these things at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And it really becomes something else. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we are starting the year. What other activities are you embarking on as an organization to help empower?
Okay, in this month of March, we are going to have the Donate a Pad on the 18th, next week Friday, in Seke District. And also, we're going to have the Dzidisa Mwanaskana, which is going to be in April, where we are going to donate stationery. We're also going to donate uniforms to the children of Seke.
Nice one.
Yes.
So we'll be definitely looking out for that as well. I've got a voice note here coming through on the WhatsApp platform.
Hello, Scanner. Look, I just want to pose a question there to your guest who's in the studio with you. I just want to know why they choose to make an organization which is representing or which chooses a specific gender in society and not just helping people or maybe advocating for people as people. Because the moment you just say you are selecting women, you are only doing for girls, you are only doing for this one, already you are segregating people by way of gender, which is something they say they are fighting. They want gender equality, they want everybody to be equal. Also, if they look back to see if men were represented by so many organizations for them to be dominating if they are, or they just proved themselves relevant. I think the women need to prove themselves relevant in specific areas of influence, be it on the job, be it in the family, be it in the church, be it everywhere. They just need to be influential. They need to do their things the best way, and they don't need any organization. That's my opinion.
Mr. G, thank you so much for coming through with your voice note. Your sentiments in this one, Tecla?
Well, I think that if you take a moment to look at this world, it's mostly a patriarchal society. Yes, we can talk about women empowerment, we can talk about gender equality, but when you look at this world, it's mostly patriarchal.
Sometimes I beg to differ when it comes to that.
Okay.
I beg to differ because I always ask who says it's a patriarchal society. Mm-hmm. What are the basis of things, concluding that, this world is a patriarchal society from a woman's perspective?
Well, you look at some of the positions that the men have, the key positions in the world. Most of them, they're being held by men. And for a woman now, they still have to prove themselves.
Hence, he's saying, prove yourselves.
But why do we have to prove ourselves?
Okay.
Aren't we like, if we are equal, if you're saying there is gender equality, why does the man not have to prove himself, but I as a woman have to prove myself? So those our organizations or organizations like ours, they're being needed.
Okay.
We need to speak out.
Interesting. He also speaks about, taking sides in terms of gender. What do you say about that?
I think now it comes down to a matter of choice. Because if you want to focus on women, I think you can do that. But if you also want to have organizations that deal with men, you can as well do that. But as an organization, we are still starting. We're still growing. We're not just going to help women and end there. We started from Seke. We are going into the nation, and eventually we're going to go international. So it's not just going to be about women, but we have men.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Most men sometimes, I think it's a very heated one. When we come to men and women and gender and whatnot, It's a very heated one.
Yeah.
Because men also come say, look, we do not specifically have International Men's Day or anything like that, but women have a particular international calendar day set aside for them. And in turn, they then... I want to be neutral. That's why I say they, not us.
Okay.
They then come through and say, it seems as if we are not equally represented. But then again, you will say as women, but look, you are in the key positions in most of these sectors. But what do you think needs to be done besides having these organizations? Is there something else that you think probably will help your cause as women in trying to balance out this gender inequality that we have?
I think we need more support from men themselves.
Okay.
Yes, let's talk about Donate a Pad. I want a guy to wear that t-shirt that is written Donate a Pad. I want him to go out there and say, look, we're doing this event, we're doing this drive. Can you help us? We need we need support from both the women and men as well. It's not just for us, because when you get help from a woman only, yes, to support and stuff, but then we also need that help from men, because you have the key positions or they have the key positions. So we need the support from both genders.
Women love this word, key positions. They're always like, you're in the key positions, guys. You also want these key positions. Yeah, I get you. I totally get you. Another voice note coming through on the WhatsApp platform.
And I also think kuti zvoni organization like uchi represent vakadzi unenge uchiziva the problems dzavanadzo, unenge uchiziva ma-problems anosanganwa nawo nemwana musikana, and like men's world. I think varume vanofanira kungoitawo ma-organizations avanomiririra vamwe varume, vakadzi vomirirawo avo. I think akaite problem.
But isusu tikuda ma-organizations evarume anenge achiranwa nevakadzi vachitimirirawo, so that it becomes equal and fair, don't you think?
I think let's work together.
Okay.
Yes.
Agreed.
Let's work together.
Agreed. We can agree on that one. All right. So, in closing, Tecla, I just wanted to understand if there are any people who want to volunteer as well and become part of the organization. Are they free to do that, and how do they do that?
Okay. If there are people who want to volunteer to the organization, they can call us on 0777 083 601. or 0719 623 165. Or they can even contact us through our Facebook page, Macherenje Center of Hope, or Instagram or Twitter.
All right, interesting. Tecla, thank you so much for coming through. Listen, these conversations will be ongoing forever, but I think it's always important to highlight some of these things and, try and understand how we both can come through, like we just agreed, to make sure that we shape our women out there, not just our women, but as well as the boys as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.